Hi, everyone. Welcome along to the Business Stories podcast. I'm really pleased for this week's guest, who is Angela Roberts. Angela describes herself as a marketeer, and she's the owner of the ever-popular, ever-growing Cotswold Networking group. So we're going to talk about networking a little bit later on. But first of all, welcome to the podcast, Angela.
Oh, thanks very much for having me, Darren. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. I'm so pleased that you could come on because there's lots of people that want to know your story and want to find out a bit more about you. So as I say, we'll talk networking in a while, but just to go back to the start of your kind of journey and how you've ended up on where you are today. I've done my homework. I see you at Loughborough University. And so what was your chosen career path once you left there?
Well, I did computer programming at Loughborough, and I graduated in 1990 and ended up in EHS Bran, which is a marketing company in Cirencester. So that's why I'm up this part of the world. And I was the IT project manager for Microsoft's sales and marketing database. So Microsoft was my client, and I had a team of about 5 or 6 of us. So yeah, that was a really good. I loved working at Bran. We had made some really good connections there. Yes, and then I got pregnant and became a full-time mother.
So you took a bit of time off then, did you, for a while?
Yes, I took some time off, and then by complete accident, I started knitting myself scarves, and people wanted to buy them off me for their friends and family. So I launched a business off the back of that, selling handmade scarves. And then I moved on to handmade jewellery, and I grew a business. It was called Glam Originals. And we used to do parties. So we'd go to people's houses and they'd invite all their friends round. And it was a bit like a party plan. And in the end, I grew the business. So it was just me going out 4 nights a week in the early days. And I grew the business. So we had 40 consultants in the UK, which, it was over about 8 or 9 years. So it meant that I was at home with my children. I could take them to school, pick them up. I was chair of the PTA all the way. I was on the PTA either in the fundraising role or a chairman role right through all their school. They're in their 20s now, early 20s, but I was a big part of their lives. So it was really good having my own business, to having that opportunity to be part of their lives and still have a really good business and fulfilling business for myself.
That's fantastic. I mean, there's so many business owners that struggle to get that work-life balance, and obviously being able to run your business but still have time for your young family is, I mean, that's a real win-win, isn't it? You're obviously very fortunate to be able to do that.
I was, yeah.
That must have been a hell of a steep learning curve from starting out on your own to then in a relatively short space of time growing your business to that size and looking after all those people, was it?
Yes, it was. Everything was self-taught. Marketing was self-taught. I even created my own website. Self-taught. I mean, I was a computer programmer, so I did have the sort of that mindset, but I just did everything myself to start, to grow the whole company. Just learning off other people, and I did do a lot of networking in those days as well.
I was going to say that's almost, if you kind of put networking to one side for a minute, that's almost the kind of business model that you had. That's almost like a form of networking, isn't it? To have these parties and sell stuff at the parties, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. You'd go into somebody's house where you didn't know anybody, and then you'd have to run the whole night so they have really good time. So yes, I suppose that's what's the sort of networking as well.
So I said at the beginning, you describe, and I've heard you say this yourself, you describe yourself as a marketeer. So with regards to that, obviously you've been in marketing for quite a long time. Has that changed much over the years?
Yeah, I think so. With the advancement of technology and I think, the traditional marketing channels like, TV, radio and print, even though I think they still work, especially print, they have taken a bit of a backseat to the digital marketing, haven't they? Social media platforms have, evolved, beyond just connecting with your friends. They've become really powerful advertising platforms.
if someone was listening in their own business and they wanted to attack some sort of marketing strategy themselves without sort of paying a without paying a third party, because a lot of startups don't have the budget for that sort of thing, what would you say one or two sort of best tips would be for anyone starting a business who wants to market it and get it out there?
Go on online courses, just learn as much as you can on them. Uh, Master Canva, understand your audience, who you're actually going to be, your target audience and their pain points. Go networking.
Let's move on to networking then, because obviously that's your passion at the moment. What was the beginning of Cotswold Networking, and what led you to start that in the first place?
During lockdown, we had nobody been anywhere. You didn't sort of all the sort of meeting up with friends, meeting up with other business people. That took a big knock. So I just woke up one morning and I said, do you know what? I'm going to start a networking group, because when I had my own business, I used to go networking a lot, and those people have followed me through, and we still contact each other, and I just thought networking is so valuable for businesses. So I just made the decision I'd start a networking group. So I asked a few people, and they're all going, "Wow, that's a brilliant idea." So I just went with it, basically.
And I guess it was real, kind of like you say, just at the back of COVID, everyone was kind of quite keen to get back out and socialise, and I suppose that was a perfect time for you, was it?
Yes, it was. It was right on. I mean, I think in January we were, we were stopped wearing masks, and then in the February I launched, and I feel at the very beginning people were a bit sort of scared about coming back out again and facing people, and because they're so used to sitting in their houses. So yeah, so get people back out there, get businesses working together and collaborating, and get relationships back, and friendships as well. So that was why I started.
And let's just imagine for one crazy moment that someone's listening and they don't know what networking is. How would you describe networking for someone who's not familiar with it?
It's all about establishing and nurturing relationships with other people, with other professionals, with that could turn into potential clients, customers, suppliers. Create opportunities for each other. So there's this term, develop your social capital. Investing in relationships will, you might think, okay, I'll go to a few networking groups, but unless you actually invest in those relationships that you meet, the people that you meet, then networking isn't going to be as lucrative.
Going back to the start of the business, obviously, we discussed starting up at the end of lockdown, and obviously people initially were perhaps a little bit wary of coming out and, back into the real world and actually mixing with each other and socializing and stuff like that. From your point of view, when you did start the business, say for the first few weeks or the first 2 or 3 meetings, were you confident in the early stages that it was going to be a success, or was there a little bit of nervousness there?
Oh, well, there's definitely nervousness starting something new. You just never know, how well it's going to go. And it did go. We had a lot of people at the launch night, and I also had support from Simon Reed, who's been there. He's been there every step of the way.
And then, so on the back of that, what as a person, what drives you then to to succeed? Would you say you're a kind of positive person? Do you normally approach things with a glass half full kind of mentality?
Yes, I think, yeah, I hope so. I'm quite competitive, and positive, and yes, I'm a very enthusiastic person. I think I'm always coming up with new ideas, and I'm very reactive, and I just love having my own business again.
Are you a big planner? Do you take ages to sort of mull it over and then write it all out and plan it? Or are you just one of these kind of people that just crack on and give it a shot?
I wish I was a planner, but and I always want to sort of think, well, I'll find time to sit down and come up with a plan. But I have to be honest, I'm not really a planner. I do wing a lot of things, and I make snap decisions. But then I sort of make a snap decision in my mind. I come up with a good idea, and then I sort of mull over it for a while, back a week or so, and then turn everything round, and then I just go by my gut instinct and go, yes, go on, I'm going to run with this now.
Richard Branson sums it up when he says, say yes and then think about how you're going to achieve it afterwards. I think a lot of people in business have got, you've got to have that kind of approach. Otherwise, you will overthink it and almost talk yourself out of it sometimes, won't you?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I was taught in some recent business coaching that we do. We were taught if you feel some kind of a fear of facing something or challenging something or pushing yourself to do something, that fear is the indicator that you should crack on and do it, because that's you're pushing through your boundaries and you're challenging yourself.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I know different people I've met over the years that take a while to come up with, they mull over stuff for too long, and I am a doer. Often I sort of think, oh gosh, I can't do that. And then I think, what do you mean you can't do it? Just go for it, see what happens.
So on the odd occasion that you do get some time to yourself, what would be your idea if you've got a day, nothing in the diary, no distractions? What's your idea of a perfect day off?
Going to the beach. I absolutely love going to the beach, and I love it when the weather's great, but I love it when the weather's cold as well. And then we also go down to Cornwall. We've got a motorhome, so we go down to Cornwall, Polzeath Beach. We went to New Year. We had in Polzeath. So I did that sauna by the sea and went in the sauna and then jumped in the sea afterwards, which was amazing. So I love doing things like that. And it's the first time I've done it actually, but I'm definitely going back to do it again.
Any hobbies or interests, or is that kind of what we've just discussed? Is there anything else that you do with your spare time?
I started doing a bit of gardening last year and growing my own fruit and vegetables. So I'm going to be carrying on with that and trying to, because I didn't do very well last year. So I'm going to be trying to sort of learn a bit more about that. And I'm also interested in natural health, sort of natural therapies rather than, pharmaceutical products and stuff like that.
So you do manage to get a little bit of time in between all this hectic schedule then, hopefully.
Well, just a bit, not much.
Okay, so let's move on back onto the networking then. So your business is 2 years old, is that right?
Yes, we launched 2 years this month.
Okay.
2 years ago this month.
And where did you launch? What was the first location that you started with?
We launched in Malmesbury at the Old Bell Hotel, which is an absolutely gorgeous hotel, and they have been so supportive of us from the start. And then it was so successful that I decided, and I enjoyed it, I loved doing it. I decided to open a Cirencester group a year later in February. So Cirencester group is 1 year old this month. And then I went on to launch Cheltenham in last September.
Wow, so there's no stopping you then. 3 groups in 2 years. That's phenomenal.
Yes, and they've grown really well. I can't believe it, actually. I'm just bowled over.
That's amazing. So did you expect it to have been so popular and have grown so rapidly that you'd be able to open more groups in such a short space of time?
No, not at all. I was only just opening a local group just to see how it went and to help local businesses. So, but as I could see more and more people were interested in it, then I just thought, well, actually, this is going to be, this could be really good for the Cotswolds, and so I was keen then to launch elsewhere.
Do you do it all on your own? I know you mentioned Simon a while ago, but do you, in terms of the kind of day-to-day running of it and the admin and stuff, is that something that you do yourself, or have you got anyone else that helps you with that?
No, it's just me.
Do you think you might get to the stage where you need an extra pair of hands?
I think I would do, yes. I mean, Simon helps me a lot. He in the events, he helps me set up and meeting people, welcoming people. But the whole day-to-day running, the marketing of it, the website. I mean, I've had two friends of mine who created the website for me, but I update the website because I've got the skills to do that. So I update my own website as well. So I do everything.
Wow, you're a lady of many talents then. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Does your business send parcels, pallets or freight in the UK? Dash Couriers is a multi-award winning logistics service with a passion for exceptional customer service. Contact us today to transform your delivery pains into gains by visiting www.couriers.co.uk.
Because there are a lot of businesses that obviously need to outsource a certain amount of stuff, because we outsource a lot of our marketing and our internet stuff, and but it seems to me like you've got it all sussed
Well, I
out.
have at the moment. I mean, I do work non-stop though, so there's going to get to a point that if we grow any more, then I'm going to have to get to ask for some help from other businesses.
Well, I mean, you've got plenty of connections to find someone, haven't you?
Yeah, completely. Yes.
I know the answer to this next question because I've seen the look on your face when we're in that room with all the members. But when you see the members of your groups collaborating and giving each other recommendations and using each other's services, how does that make you feel?
Well, it just makes my heart leap. As you know, we've got at the end of the evening, I sort of say, has anyone got any, news or any awards they've entered, or any recommendations or any shout outs to any of the other people they've worked with, or
Yeah.
and I just love hearing the stories when they said, oh, they give each other shout outs. It's just amazing.
Makes it all worthwhile, I
Yeah, it
guess.
does. It does. And I'm now starting to ask the members if they to send me their success stories so that we can sort of we can find out how well all the networking is working and how people are collaborating and working together.
Yeah, because obviously you want to, as part of your ongoing marketing, you want to prove it's almost, well, it's proof in the
Yes, proof. Yeah.
pudding, isn't it? That it actually works for people and that it makes it creates genuine relationships and genuine bonds and friendships.
Yes, definitely. And and I've also had some people who've been really shy about coming. And a few sort of meetings in, they absolutely love it, and they joined more than one group. So we've had a couple of instances of that, which is great to see. We also do social events as well, which is always we do curry clubs, as you know, and we've got supper club tonight in Malmesbury where we're going for pizza. And members from any of the group can come to any of the social events, and that's an absolutely brilliant way to get to know people a bit better.
So it's almost like one step further than networking because it further builds those relationships when you're not in the groups, for the scheduled meetings.
Yes, and it's bit of cross pollination as well. You can come to the Cheltenham Curry Club if you're member of Malmesbury.
So if someone's listening to this, they've never been networking before, and they're considering coming to pay you a visit next week or next month, what tips would you give a new member who's coming to one of your groups to make it work for them?
Try and talk to as many people as you can. Most of our networking groups, we do round the table networking, where you can where you get to speak to, announce what you do to everybody on that table, and then you swap tables twice. So that's always a good way to get to know people. Volunteer to be a speaker. Our speakers are our members, so that they can tell everybody else in the room a bit more about themselves. Come along to the social events. As I said, they're always really good for breaking down barriers. And also follow up with people. Try and follow up with at least 2 people after the event.
I mean, I know from my own experience, so I'm probably 3 or 4 months in now with your networking groups. And when we first joined, Shani and I, it was our very first venture into networking. And I've got to be honest, I did struggle with it to start with because I'm quite an introvert person. And, going up to strangers and introducing yourself was completely out of my comfort zone. But I would say it's definitely worth persevering with because, each time you go, it gets a little bit easier because you recognize 1 or 2 more faces. I also had a bit of a misconception that everyone in the room knew everyone else and I was kind of the odd one out. Now, having built relationships now with some of those people further down the line, 3 to 4 months down the line, it would appear that everyone's has similar kind of feelings when you're new to it. It's a natural feeling to maybe struggle a little bit unless you can just crack straight on with it. But the point I'm trying to make is if anyone is thinking of doing it, give it a bit of time to bed in and persevere with it, because it's not an instant, overnight thing. You might not take to it straight away, but definitely we've seen personally the benefits of it. They do pay dividends on a personal level and on a business level. What's a good strategy for a long-term networking? Is it sort of regular attendance? What's the tips with regards to that?
Yeah, I mean, you must attend regularly. If you dip in and out, once every 3 months, you're going to get nowhere. So attend regularly, and try and build genuine relationships with people. Stay in touch with them after that. Get in touch with them after out of the networking group as well. Meet them for a coffee.
This is one of the things that when I was new to it, I didn't really understand the full concept of it. But the other thing that that's come to light a lot more recently is that, and you've mentioned this several times, it's not just about the 30 or 40 or 50 people in that room, because every one of those people has potentially hundreds of connections. And what we've found is that we now get recommendations from people who've been at the networking. So we're getting indirect business and indirect leads, and people don't always think about that, do they?
No, I mean, as you know, I always say that at every meetup, that don't think about just the people in the room. Think of each person's got about 250 connections. So you're talking about 20,000 people who could know about your business. Depending on how many people. We normally get about 50 people in Cirencester and Cheltenham. So don't think about just the people in the room and think, oh, there's nobody here who would buy from my business. Think long term, as in make sure you come regularly, build the relationships, and then you'll be front of mind to those people when one of their friends says, oh, do you know somebody who does that? Oh, I've got a problem with this. And then you'll be front of mind, and they will recommend you before they recommend anybody else.
Definitely. And I know that firsthand because we've recommended several people in the group when someone wants a web designer or IT guy or whatever it may be, and we've recommended them. So yeah, that definitely works.
Yes.
In terms of looking ahead then, you've said that you're kind of, you've got big plans for the future and onwards and upwards. What have you got? Any launches or anything else that you wanted to tell us about that's coming up soon?
So we're launching it on February the 22nd, a brand new networking group, Bath. I'm calling it Bath and Beyond. It's 7 p.m. at the Camberwell Park Golf Club. So it's less than 2 weeks away. You can get a launch night tickets on the website. They're £25, including a free drink. And we've got the amazing Stephen Thomas as our keynote speaker. He was our speaker at our Cheltenham launch, and I had so many people come up to me and message me the next day about how brilliant he was. He's the author of A Dummy's Guide to Business Networking. That's one of his books. I think he's written about 3. So come along to see him. He's the master of networking. So he's a really good person to see. And so that's at the launch night in Bath. We're also about to launch a new scheme whereby local charities can apply to become members for free, so that we can help charities gain more recognition amongst the business communities. So look out for that in the future. And I'd also one of my other goals this year is to help help young business people, people under 20, or entrepreneurs. For instance, my nephew, I've got a 14-year-old nephew who's just started a clotheswear business, selling all his clothes through TikTok, him and his friend. And so I'd like to sort of, help other businesses, help other young people to meet all other businesses so that they can learn off them and grow with perhaps mentorship and stuff like that.
There's some amazing ideas there, and I'm really excited about some of those. So the charity places is brilliant. So you say what, a couple of places potentially at each of your meetings? Is that how that would work?
Yes, a couple of free places at the meetings. They don't have to pay to be a member. They can just come along, and they might not, charities, they might not want the same person every time. So we'll allow them to just send whoever they want along to come and support the charity.
And the idea of the young entrepreneur business person is also amazing, because I've had similar ideas myself. I would love to be part of a group or part of a network where a young person starting up in business has got a few people that they can ask questions to, or that they can
Yes.
bounce off of and get some feedback or just ideas. Because you know what it's like starting any business, particularly if you're a younger person. You don't It's all a bit of a learning curve, isn't it? And if you've got
Yes, it is.
certainly if you've got that safety blanket of a room full of professional business people, or a WhatsApp group full of them, or whatever it may be, I really love that idea. I think that's really good.
Yes, this is it's another one of my sort of reactive ideas I just mentioned before. I was going, oh, this will be a great idea to do. So I'm going to, sort of launch that in the next couple of months.
That's brilliant. I mean, yeah, definitely don't let that one fall by the wayside, because that's a fantastic idea. I love it.
Yeah, I feel that could grow as well. I feel like other businesses will come. There may be other groups that are grow from that. So we'll see how that goes.
The Bath launch then, group number 4. That's amazing. Do you know when to stop? Where's it all going to end?
Well, I'd like to go North Cotswolds as well. So, but let's just get the Bath group off the ground first, and make sure that that's fully up and running, and we've got lots of members, and and we also offer our members now the chance to, they can be a member. You can be a member of more than one group, as you know. But if they want to be just a member of Malmesbury, but they also want to visit other groups as well, we've got like a top up membership option now. For £120, and they can go to 6 other groups throughout the year. So it just means they've got more networking opportunities, and there's a bit more cross-pollination between the groups.
And then I suppose the benefit of that as well is that if you end up being into one or two different groups, you then get access to all the members through the website. Is that right?
We've got closed Facebook and LinkedIn groups, and all the members are part of that. So they're all in one group. So you can.
So actually, another benefit then of joining one group is that you end up being in the socials with all of the groups, which even broadens your network even more, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yes, and we also offer members can offer discounts to other members, and we've got a sort of password protected area on our website whereby I sort of highlight which members are offering discounts, and that's an area I want to grow as well in the next year, where I'm going to start telling people when I do my presentation at the beginning of the networking groups, I'm going to start telling people about what other members are offering discounts, so it gives them a bit more visibility as well.
Perfect. Okay. Well, look, Angela, I mean, I've really enjoyed speaking to you today. I've learned so much, and I'm really excited for what's coming up in the future. Before we go, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, if they want to join any of your groups, if they want to get involved with the Bath group, what's the easiest way for anyone to reach out to you?
Well, you can just go on the website, cotswoldnetworking.co.uk, or email me at info@cotswoldnetworking.co.uk. And also have a look. We're very prolific on Instagram. It's Cotswold_networking on Instagram. Have a look, because you'll see all sorts of videos about all the other groups that we run. You'll see me presenting.
So you're on LinkedIn as well, yeah?
Yeah, we're on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
Cotswold Networking on LinkedIn.
Excellent. That's great. Well, look, thank you so much for joining me today, Angela. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me, Darren, and I've enjoyed it too. So
You're welcome.
see you soon.
Thanks for listening to the podcast today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If so, perhaps you could leave us a review, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one.